Hi there, evening everybody. Currently, I'm on a plane somewhere between Manchester and Atlanta. Yep, I am. I'm really not here at all. I'm leaving on a jet plane. Don't know when I'll be back again. Yeah, about 7 days. Yeah, not too long. Anyway, so because I promised way back when we started Paper Scissors Story and we were particularly going through the pandemic, I promised that there would always be a Wednesday evening class. So even though I can't do it in person, Mark and I are recording it now so that there is a Wednesday evening class. So hi Wendy, hi Louise, hi Deb, hi Dee.
Hi.
Hi Stacey. Hi Kari. Yeah, Kari's watching. She's probably on a plane as well, but we'll just pretend. Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed Wendy's cakes tonight. They were awesome. I particularly liked the the cakey one. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
they were ace. And the drinks, out of this world. Out of this world. Oh yeah. So let me tell you a little bit about the project that we are going to make. This is a little folio that measures 6. It does measure 6 if you measure it from the, from the spiny bit by 8 inches, which I know is a very popular size. And for my version, you are. What did you say?
I said yes, 6 by 8 inches. Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. Glad you're listening, dear. I've used Vicki Boutin's Where to Next papers, and I can't remember if I'm calling this the holiday folio or the travel folio. Somewhere it's got mixed up along the way. But if you've had a kit, you've got these pattern papers in it to use, and a pack of ephemera, which I haven't got any left, so I'm not going to be doing any ephemera decorating with it. But let me walk you through it. So what we've got is a little folio, and it's got a closure here on the back like that, okay? And you open it up like this. It's not a fancy one at all. And then on the front, we've got this little flap, okay? Now, as I said, it is a folio. It's got a soft spine, which you've just got here. And then this, when you open it up, you have got stacked pockets. So this is a pocket, this is a pocket, this is a pocket, okay? And then you've got the photo mats that come out. Well, I've just realised there's a mistake as well, because I don't think I added that onto my measurements. So I might have, I know, but it's not going to be a proper class if I don't get something wrong, is it? It's not going to be proper. So I'll do that in a minute. And then on this one, what we've got on this page is just a very simple basic pocket with a little photo mat with a flap. I like those. Those are my thing at the moment. And just so you know, I've used my Stamps for Interactive mini books here to stamp on where to put photos and things, but I have just last weekend launched them in the shop as a digital offering, so you can download them and use them on your books. If you don't want a set of stamps sent to you, then that would be the perfect solution. And there's a load of instructions of how to use them in Canva, and so on and so forth, so have a look in the shop for those. Now this bit, when you open it up here, you can see this is the middle of the folio. So you've got your spine down here. This is the same flap as we've got on the front here. It's just different. It's the same, but it's different. So here on this, what we've got is a side opening sort of pocket with these two sort of like side slidey bitty things. You've got your photo mat, which goes in there like that, and then I've just used some of the tags and some of the ephemera. I've put a few paper clips into the kits as well, so that you can just add those in too, just to keep things together. Now this here, this is part of it's the same flap as on the front, it's just inside. I've used some of the ephemera just to make up this little picture, and then these are some of the Make a Mark little letters, which are really cool. I love this, actually. I think it looks really good. In fact, actually, you know what we should do? We should offer people the opportunity to pick words and phrases in the shop, so people can just say to you they want it. Yeah, in this, so the single letters, so people can choose whatever they like. I'll have a look at that when I get back. Somebody remind me if I don't do it. And then inside here, what we've got is we've got another stack pocket. I've just used some of the ephemera here as well. And then we've got photo mats with that flap again, etc., etc. Just added a few little bits in there. This is so gorgeous, this collection. I just love it. And then here, what we've got is a flop. Yes, a photo, a waterfall. Not a pulley one, just a basic ordinary waterfall. Yeah, I know. Sorry, you like those, don't you? But I will hopefully before class I would have managed to put up the cutting guide, and if you go and look on the pinned posts in Papers is a Story, there's one called Mini Books and Where to Find Them, and if you have a look in that, I have actually linked the folder where you can find all of the photos and things in it. Now we're going to divide this up into two parts. I've no idea where we're going to stop, so we'll just start and see where we get to. So I think if we start off with the base, if you grab your trimmer and your cardstock, I think we should get cutting. So let's have a look. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out the bits and I'll cut out the photo mats as we go. With each bit. So I'm working on this bit here, which is the base folio from cardstock. So I want you to cut one at 6 by 9 inches. Oh, everything's blowing away. Yeah.
Yet again, it's 30 plus degrees in here.
Yeah, it is.
Is it over there?
Yeah, it is over here. So what did I say? 6 by 9. So you're going to cut one at 6 by 9. Okay.
Yep.
You're going to cut one at 5 7/8. I think I've done this wrong. Just let me have a think a minute. Right, so that's 6 by 9. Yes. Oh no, I haven't. I'm confusing myself. Right, okay. And then I want you to cut one. It is jet lag, yes. I hope to goodness I don't get jet lag like last time. That just knocked me out for about 6 weeks. It's terrible. I've never known anything like it. We're going to cut, no, so that bit's right. 6 by 9 inches. Yeah. So then we're going to cut one at 5 7/8 by 7 7/8. So 5 7/8 by 7 7/8.
I don't know what takes 8, but so far, it's correct.
Are you sure? How do you know?
Well, correct in that.
In that you copied it.
Right.
Oh well, that's not normal at all. Okay, right. 1 at 5.5 by 9. So 1 at 5.5 by 9. I don't think this is right.
Can we pause a moment?
No, let's just see what happens.
We can pause now.
I know we can. Yeah, let's just see what happens. Yeah. Right, so what did I just do? 1 at 5.5 by 9, yes. And then 1 at 6 by 7 7/8. 1 at 6 by 7 7/8. I'm going to live on the edge. Okay, then we're going to cut our connector, which is the bit that goes in the middle. And I want you to cut that at 3 by 8 inches. So you might have one of your cut-offs might fit. Yeah, off. What did I say? Cut-offs. Yeah, off-cuts. 3 by 8 inches. So cut one at 3 by 8 inches. I'm really excited to see how this is going to turn out. Okay, cut 2 at 4.5 by 9. So, oh man, this is where it all goes wrong.
On YouTube, just said hi. So
yeah, hi on YouTube. Hi Tracy. Hi other Tracy. And third Tracy, more than likely. Right, 2 at 4.5 by 9. I know. David, you can't say stuff like that. Yeah, that'd be hilarious if he really does. Hi, Sadie. Yeah, I've got faith. She's gonna pop in this time. What was that? 2 at 4.5 by 9.
Yes.
Yeah. 2 at 4.5 by 9.
100%.
What the heck sort of cutting guide is this? 2 at 3 7/8. What the hell? 2 at 3 7/8 by 7 7/8. 3 7/8 by 7 7/8. This is so exciting. I'd love to know how this is going to end up. It's going to be hilarious if it's all wrong. Okay, and the connector here is 1 1/8 by 8 inches. So 1. Shh. What did I say? 1 1/8 by 8 inches. Okay. And then another connector. I've absolutely no idea what's happening here. And then we've got one more connector, which is 1 1/4 by 8 inches. So 1 1/4 by 8. It is time to start scoring. Right, okay. Oh, I'm glad one of us is. Right, what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to work backwards with my scoring, because as you can see, as I've cut it, oh yeah, that's just confusing me now. Will we manage?
Yes,
okay, right, so the reason I'm doing that is because I've got everything stacked up here in an order. Oh, all right, there we go. I've turned it round. Right, so this is the first piece that we cut that was 6 by 9 inches. We're going to score on the 6-inch side, so put your 6 inches at the top, and we're going to score at 1/2 inch. There's no way this is right. We'll see. And then we're going to score on the 9-inch side, so put 9 inches at the top, and we're going to score at 1/2 inch, and we're going to score at 8.5 inches. Okay, so that's the first piece. The second piece, which was 5 7/8 by 7 7/8, we're not going to score on that. You're just going to put it on one side. No, because I just wanted to check it was the right piece. And then we've got a piece that's 5.5 by 9 inches. So I want you to score on the 9-inch side. So 9 inches at the top, at 1/2 inch. And 8.5 inches. So that has only got 2 score lines on it, okay? Right. Oh, I know. What can people be asking? I don't know.
I can pause it on the night.
You can. What shall we talk about? What anecdote shall I? What's happened this week that was funny? I'll tell you what, last Sunday, do you remember when we sat in the craft room and it was stupid hot and we recorded that class?
Oh, yeah.
Whew!
The other day, yeah.
Yeah, I ain't doing that again.
About 31.1 degrees out there.
Yeah, and about 43 degrees, 43% humidity. Yeah. Right, okay, so this piece, I've no idea where we are, which is 6 by 7 7/8. We're not doing anything with that, so leave that be. Right, then we've got our connector, which is 3 by 8 inches. So I'm going to score on the 3-inch side at 1, 1.5, and 2 inches. Okay, just like what? Yes, just like that, okay? Okay, and then I wish this would stop going everywhere. Right. No. Right, so this is, we've got two pieces that are 4.5 by 9, and we're going to score these the same way. So we're going to score on the 4 and, why is that 4 3/4? Oh, it's because I measured it. I'm just going to get the other thingy out. I give up trying to use half a dozen different flipping. Right, 4.5 by 9. We're going to score on the 4.5 inch side at 1/2 inch. And we're going to score on the 9 inch side at 1/2 inch and 8.5 inches. Exactly the same on the other one. You're scoring on the 4.5 inch side at 1/2 inch. And you're going to score on the 9 inch side at 1/2 inch and 8.5 inches. Okay? Right then, finally, we've got these two pieces that were 3 7/8 by 7 7/8. We're not doing anything with those, put those to one side. And then we've got these two little connectors. So the first one was 1 1/8 by 8. So I want you to score on the 1 1/8 inch side at 1/2 inch and at 5/8 of an inch. So what you've got there is a very little gusset. This one, I want you to score on the 1 1/4 inch side at 1/2 inch and 3/4 of an inch. So that one's got a little bit of a bigger gusset. Okay. Right. So if you pop your scoreboard to one side, grab your scissors and your bone folder and some glue, and we'll get putting it together. It is bunged up. Right, so I'm going to start off with this first piece, okay? This is the 6 by 9 inch piece, all right? I'm going to kinky miter that corner, which means I'm snipping up to where the score line intersects, changing the angle of my scissors slightly, and then just popping those corners off. Fred, he's about. He's too hot, probably. Last time I saw him, he was lying between the bathroom and the bedroom in our room. He's about. Oh, they're all too hot. All right, so we're going to fold on those score lines, and then I want you to burnish them well, okay? So this is the first piece, which is 6 by 9 inches. Oh, yeah, it's not a class without Max, is it? It'll be all discombobulated because it's not Wednesday, except it is Wednesday. All right, so the next piece that we've got, the 5 7/8 by 7 7/8, in theory, that should just slip nicely inside there. It's too big. Let's just make sure I've done this the right size, shall we? Oh, yeah. I just need to chop that down a bit. So it's probably my chopping. What did I say it should be? 5 7/8 by 7 7/8. I don't think it should. Yeah, it should be 5 7/8. It's just that I can't. I've cut it wrong. Let me just check. Oh, I don't think it should be 5 7/8. I think it should be 5 and 3/8. Let me. I'll change that. That should be 5 3/8. Luckily, you can cut it down. So 5 3/8. Right. So the cutting guide will be right. The one that I put up will be right.
And then paste in the group will be right.
No, it won't because.
It will.
Oh yeah. Oh cool. That's going to be very confusing for you. So this is 5 3/8. Okay, right. So what I want you to do now is I want you, in fact, actually, yes, Mark, when you introduce on Wednesday, will you tell everybody that there is a mistake in my speaking, but not in the cutting guide, because the cutting guide will be okay, good. Right, so I'm going to just put some, look, it's splurted everywhere, it's not blocked.
Wow.
I'm going to put some glue on the inside of those flaps, but just be aware that when you come to stick this together, I want these two open sides flush. All right, so put them flush to each other. All right, and then glue the flaps down on top. Okay.
I wonder, I was should be able to remember we played a video, put the new sides down to the top of the album.
Oh, I don't know. What am I doing?
We'll see.
I'm trying to find out how this works.
I'm trying to find out. It was fall asleep and I
Don't do you know what? That actually crossed my mind. Or you play part 2 first. Right, this piece that we've just made is this piece here. Okay, so that, let's just try, should fit you on top of there like that. Okay, so that's that piece. All right, the next piece, we've got a score line at the top and the bottom. So this is 6 by 9, I think, this piece. Was it 6 by 9? Yeah.
5 by 9.
What am I doing? Oh, there's something.
6 by 9 was the very first piece.
Yeah. Oh, this is 5.5 by 9. Yes. So I've just folded on those score lines. And now I'm just going to burnish it. Okay, you've only got the 2 top and bottom. And then you've got this piece, which is huge. What have I done here? What on earth? That should be 5.5, not 6. Who wrote this cutting guide? I did it at Dad's yesterday, didn't I? Right, so let's just recap that this should be 5.5, not 6. Oh my God. It's nice to know that class is going the same way, even though I'm not here. It's just like I am, isn't it? So it's 5.5 by 7 7/8. So that will slip inside there like that, and it will be exactly flush side to side because it's exactly the same width. So I need you to put some glue on that flap and that flap. Okay. No, it just makes sense. It'll be fine. I won't be here to care.
Leave me.
The dregs of a bad class, yes, dear. I'm sure everybody understands. Yes, thank you. Wendy gets it. Thank you, Wendy. Right, so we've got this piece now, which is open on both sides. And that is this, okay? So this is the back of that, and that. So that's going to go there. And the bit that we did, that's going to go there, okay, like that. So what we need to do now is connect them in the middle. So I want you to get, that was 3 by 8 inches, okay, and it's got those 3 score lines in the middle. And what I want you to do is just do a little bit of a mitre from the score lines out to the edge, just like that, okay? On both sides, you're not going to cut past that first score line, okay? Now, when I'm putting a folio together, I always have the flappy bits on the inside and the flat bit on the outside. Don't ask me why, I just do. So I'm going to put that in there like that, okay? We might have to cut it down a little bit. Just to make it sure that it fits. And I'm going to just pop that in there up to the first score line, okay? So you can see, I've just put it to the first score line, and I've put the knobbly bits on the outside. So this is the back, the very, very back of my folio, and it's flat apart from the knobbly bits there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop some glue onto there like that, and onto the back, so onto both sides of that wing, that flap there. Okay. And I'm going to pop that inside there like that, up to the score line, so that when we've glued this down, what we're essentially doing is completely enclosing that part of the page. So it's enclosed on one side now. This piece, the first piece that we did, I'm going to stick that inside there like that. Okay, so that's going to fit exactly on the other side. All right, so you can see I've got my flaps inside and I've got my flat pieces on the outside. That's purely preference, doesn't make any difference. Hi Paul. Got to say, I'm really looking forward to your next G45 piece. I can't, I'd be lying if I said I hadn't had a sneaky peek. But it's just gorgeous. All right, so glue on there up to the score line. And I'm going to pop this inside that one open edge of that, like that, to the score lines. And I'm going to glue that down so that now that is completely enclosed. I've got my spine, and then I've got what is essentially the back of my folio. Okay, so I'm going to put that to one side. What we're going to do now is we're going to work on those two shorter flaps. You know, there's one on the front page and there's one on the back. So we've got these two that we cut earlier, and I'm going to just kinky mitre those edges like that. And then I'm going to fold on my score lines. Hi, Lorraine. Sorry, I didn't see you earlier. Oh, you got stuck at work. Yeah, it just gets in the way of our crafting, doesn't it? Okay, and the same on the other one as well. So I'm just burnishing. These two that we didn't score, they should just fit inside there nicely. Oh, and it's correct. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put some glue on the inside of those flaps. I'm going to make sure that the open edges are flush with each other. And I'm going to fold that down like that. Okay, let's just make sure that sticks nicely. Hi, Sue. Now, don't forget, if you go into Sue's Paper, Scissors, Craft and Chat, that you can take part in all sorts of things. There's lots of like an ATC swap for the UK, and I believe they're still looking for something to go on in the US, but that's a plan. And then there's the fat page swap and all sorts of bits and bobs going on over there. So do pop by and say hi to Sue. She always tells me that craft and chat is like being at a crop. So it's, you know, like sitting around a craft table and having a chat. So very informal. We'd love to see what you're making. So do go ahead and join her if you can. Okay, so those are the two pieces. Now, I've got this, which was the bit that we made first. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start off. I'm just going to fold on the middle part of that there. Because what I want to do now is I want to attach this to the front, okay? I am not going to attach the second one just yet. So I'm going to take the connector that has got the 1/8 of an inch gusset. It's the slightly smaller one, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold on those lines there like that. And I'm going to burnish. You come bearing cats? Oh, probably run away. Yeah, he was in our bedroom. He's probably under the bed. Right, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to mitre away from those score lines. So I'm not mitring past the score lines. I'm just mitring up to them. And I'm going to pop this in. Right, so say this is the front of mine, which is the bit without the flaps. I'm going to pop that inside there like that. Just make sure it's the right size. Just nip it down a tad. Okay, let's pop that in there. Cool. So what I want is for this, now I'm going to glue both sides of that so that what I'm going to have is a flap with a little gusset, okay? So if I put some glue, yes, on my connector on both sides, like that, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop that in there like that, up to the score line, and just glue it down like that. Okay, so now what I've got is a flap with a little gusset. I'm going to look at the front of my folio. Okay, so the front, this bit is enclosed, this is open. Okay, so the opening is pointing towards the right. This is the front, this is fully enclosed. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put some glue on that flap. And then I'm going to attach it to the front of my folio, but I'm going to attach it here. So right at the edge of where the spine attaches. So let me just try and pop this in. Take the glasses off. Okay, so I've got my gusset. Let's make sure that lines up. So this is the edge of my spine. Okay, so that's the edge of the spine, and that's where I've just put my flap. But if I just push that now a little bit, you can see that I've got my gusset here, which means that this is just ever so slightly, we've got a bit of a gap here, which means that we can put things underneath it. Okay, so just like that. Now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to do this bit and this bit, and then I'm going to start decorating up because I want to show you how to do the closure. I'm not going to decorate in terms of using the ephemera because I haven't got any left, but I have got, you know, the pattern paper. I'm going to decorate it in exactly the same way that I did originally, but you might find that, you know, you might want to do something completely different. Okay, right. So now I've got that. What I want to do now is work on this stacked pocket. So if I grab my papers, okay, we've done this bit. We'll come back to the closure in due course. So this is here. This bit here is what I'm calling the inside short cover. Okay. So if we have a look at my original book, this is the inside short cover. Okay. That is this. All right. So what we need to do is just grab our cardstock and some trimmer. And I want to cut one at 5 by 3.5 inches, one by 5 by 3.5 inches. Okay. I want to cut 2 at 5 by 2.5 inches. So cut 2 at 5 by 2.5 inches. So I'm going back and using some of my offcuts for this. We're on this bit here, the inside short cover from cardstock, stack pocket, top of page 2. So cut 1 at 5 by 3.5. I'll just have a drink while you're finding it. And while you're doing that, I'll just measure that. Well, you've got the resources thing. I just can't get the staff. Inside short cover, stack pocket. 9 3/4. It's on the page with the picture. This one. This one. Yeah. It'll give me a chance to tidy up a little bit. Okay.
No.
Right, so we've cut. You're not ready? Oh. Shall I pause, seeing as we can now pause?
Yes.
I'm going to pause. You won't notice anything, but hang on, we'll be right back. And we're back. So,
Back from where?
Back from here. I wonder where I am right now.
Yeah, so we'll just recap.
Yeah.
We're cutting one at
We're cutting one at 5 by 3.5 inches. Okay. And then these flipping things keep blowing about. Right, then we're going to cut 2 at 5 by 2.5. So cut 2 at 5 by 2.5. Is that what it says? That is amazing. Wow, you're brilliant. We'll cut our photo mats now just to get them done. And I want you to cut 1 at 3 3/4 by 9 3/4. So 1 at 3 3/4 by 9 3/4. I want you to cut 1 at 3 3/4 by 5.5. Oh yeah. So yeah, cut one at 3 3/4 by 5.5 and a half. Yes. And then cut one at 3 3/4 by 4 1/4. So one at 3 3/4 by 4 1/4. Okay, right. You pop your trimmer away, grab your scoreboard. The piece that we cut, that was 5 by 3.5. I want you to score on the 5-inch side, so 5 inches at the top. There we go. And I want you to score at 1/2 inch, at 4.5 inches. Turn it round and score on the 3.5 inch side at 1/2 inch. Okay. The next two, which were 5 by 2.5, these are the same. So you're going to score on the 5-inch side, so 5 at the top. You're going to score at 1/2 inch, 4.5 inches, and then you're going to score on the 2.5 inch side at 1 inch. So you're scoring on the 5-inch side at 1/2 inch, 4.5, and on the 2.5 inch side at 1 inch. Now all we've got left is our photo mats. And the only one that we're scoring on is the one that was 9 3/4 by 3 3/4. I want you to score on the 9 3/4 inch side at 2 inches. Okay, right. So the first thing that we're going to do is a little bit of kinky mitering. And just for Lorraine, we're going to do a pants cut. Now I've lost my scissors. Oh no, they're here. Right, okay, so this is our 3.5 by 5. So we're going to just kinky miter that off. And these two, where we've got 1 inch, we're going to do what we call a pants cut. So snip up there like that. And then this is more of an inverted miter cut. Okay, so look, it's like that. So snip down into there where the score lines intersect. And then up like that, and it looks like a pair of pants, or knickers as we call them in the UK. So that's why we call it the pants cut, which makes no sense if you're in the US, I guess, but we can blame Lorraine for that one. Right, okay, so let's just take this one first with the 3 score lines, and we're going to fold and we're going to burnish. Okay, like that. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our book, our folio. Okay, so this is the front of my folio. I've got my spine here, I've got that flap, and this is enclosed as well. This is the open bit here. And this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to put this pocket right at the very bottom of my page down there. So it fits up to where that little gusset is, okay? So let's put some glue on there like that. And let's pop that on there. So that sits at the very, very bottom of the inside of that little front flap. Now these, what we're going to do is we're just going to fold it before we burnish, because this is going to act as a guideline. So we're going to slip that in there like that. And we're just going to make sure that it fits, which it does, before we burnish it. Sometimes, I don't know why, but just sometimes it's ever so slightly out of line. So you might have to kind of fiddle with it a little bit before you burnish it. So now I'm going to put some glue onto those flaps like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just slip that inside there up to that score line, because that's acting as a guide for us. And I'm going to just glue that in there like that. Okay. And then I'm going to do exactly the same with the other piece. So I'm just going to fold that down first, slip it in up to the score line. Now it's ever so slightly out. Well, it's not, but it kind of is. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fold that over an absolute tad more before I burnish it. Yeah. Let's just try and fit that in. See if it's a better fit. Yeah. And now I'm going to burnish. Okay. Right, so that's going to go inside there, up to that score line. Let's get that in. Oops. And glue it down. Okay. Right, so my photo mats, this one, I'm just going to fold that over like that, and I'm going to burnish it. And that is going to sit in that pocket there like that. This is where the fun bit comes, because glue. All right. Then we've got our other two ones. So we've got our tallest one, the singles that hasn't got a flap. That goes in there like that. Okay. And then we've got this one that fits in there like that. Okay. So that is done. Now I want to work on this side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my trimmer. So this is now, we're working on this bit, which is page 2 from cardstock single pocket. Okay. So if you grab your trimmer, I want you to cut one at 6.5. This is page 2 from cardstock, single pocket. Yeah. So we're going to cut one at 6.5 by 3.5. Cut one at 6.5 by 3.5. Okay. And then we're going to cut our photo mat, which is 5.25 by 9.5. So 5.25 by 9.5. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to do a bit of scoring. So this first one that we cut that was 6.5 by 3.5. Yeah, that's the photo mat, 5.25 by 9.5 inches. So now we're going to score on that big pocket. So we're going to score on the 6.5 inch side. Now, at 1/2 inch and 6 inches. And then we're going to score on the 3.5 inch side at 1/2 inch. Okay, so that's just a basic pocket. And then our big photo mat that was 9.5 by 5.25. We're going to score on the 9.5 inch side at 2 inches. It's all right, don't worry. I'll just give up now because there's just a couple of pieces on this one. I wouldn't worry too much. So we'll just work on the other one, but we'll do that next week in about half an hour. All right, okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to kinky mitre like that. I'm going to fold and I'm going to burnish. like that. And then I'm going to fold on this photo mat and I'm going to burnish that as well. So if I grab my project and I open up that flap, we're going to put this down here like that. So this goes on the other side of the gusset. So if you want to put some glue on there like that, and then pop that at the bottom of your project there. Okay, and then this just slips inside there like that. Okay. Right, I'm going to take that out actually because I don't really want these to glue to each other, which will happen whilst the glue's drying on the things. Now, we're not going to do too much more, but what I do want to do is just a little bit of base decorating, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to decorate up this and this, okay? So if we start with this, which I think is 4 by 8, is it? Yeah, 4 by 8, and I'm gonna decorate it in exactly the same way as I decorated mine. So you can see here these gorgeous umbrellas. That's what I'm going to start with. So let me grab my trimmer. Oops. And I'm going to start off by cutting this at, I'll cut it just under 4. So I'll cut it at 3 7/8. So 3 7/8 by 7 7/8. Okay, and that'll go on the front there. Now if I open it up, let's see what else I need to cut. Okay, so let's see what papers I've used. Let me just take these out. I'll worry about my photo mats last of all, but I will mention with the photo mats when you're decorating them that I haven't used pattern paper for that. You're not going to have enough pattern paper to cover your mats in entirety, but if you've had a kit, I have put some white cardstock in. Okay, so this little bit up here, so let's just cut that down to, got this piece, let's cut that down to say 1.5 inches by 3 7/8. There we go. Okay, and I think that was it for that. Right, so if you want to, you can ink your edges. I'm not going to because it's just going to take up too much time. But ink your edges by all means. Well, I didn't cut that very straight, so I hope you cut it straighter than I. That is terrible. I hope you cut that straighter than I did. And then I'm going to pop that in there like that. Okay. Right, so what else have I got? That one, which is the back of this one. Okay, so this I've used here and here, but the front of it I've used, oh, I should have done that one as well. I've used there. I need to put that one on as well. I'll do that in a minute. Right, so So I'm going to cut 5.5. Now, okay, sorry, this one, 5.5. So I'm going to cut this not at 5.5, but at 5 3/8. Okay. And I'm going to want 5 1/4 and 3. So I'll cut that at 2 7/8, which will go there, and then 5 1/4, which will go there. Okay, and then we've got that bit at the top there, which is going to be just under 4. So 3 7/8 by 2.5. Okay, need to cut out that one. So let's cut that out. 2 7/8 by 3 7/8. Okay. Right, like I said, once again, if you want to, you can ink your edges. I'm not going to. Cut that a bit wide. Okay, let's pop that in there. That one, let's pop that in there. You can see what I'm doing. That one down the bottom. That one over there like that. Oops. I'm not doing this very well. Talk about less haste, more speed. Oh, God, this is a mess. Right. And then this one is going to fit, hopefully, in there. I just need to give it a bit of a slithery trim. Let's pop that in there like that. Okay, and what I'll do in a minute is we'll come back to this piece, which is, or I've already used it, green, I don't know. Oh yeah, a little bit on the back of that. So that's going to be, let's just cut that down to 3 7/8. And that, yes, will fit in there quite nicely. Now, at this point, I'm not going to do my photo mats until the very end. Put that down there. Straight would be nice-ish. But what I also want to do is I actually want to decorate up the very back. So here you can see that we've got this piece with the open end, but I want to decorate that, and I'm pretty certain I did it in pink. Yes, I did. So let's just measure this. That is 5.5 by 8. So I used, right, this is the piece with all the tags on, and you're going to want some of those tags, and you're going to want this bit. So I tried to avoid using that half of the paper, okay? So if I was you, what I would do is just be wary of where I'm cutting. But if I turn that over, this bit I don't want to cut, so I'm going to cut on this side. So I'm going to cut not 5.5, but 5 3/8 by just under 8, like that. Because then, where's my project? Oh, there it is. I want to put this on the very back bit there, like that. Okay, so if you want to ink it, obviously go ahead. And let's pop that on there. Now, the reason why we're decorating this is because the last thing that I want to do tonight is to actually make our closure. Okay, so this is all base decorated now. We obviously haven't decorated in there because we've still got plenty to do. But what I want to do is don't just ignore how badly cut that is. All right, thankfully this isn't a proper copy. I'll put these in here so I don't go and cut them up, which is more than likely something I do. Okay, and then that one goes in there. That'll probably go down a bit further. It'll be easier when it's got some sort of solidity to it. All right, so what I want to do now is I want to work on this closure here. So if you grab your cardstock again, just your plain cardstock, we're back on the first page now, dear. Page 1, at the very bottom underneath the base folio. Here, I'll show you. We're doing the closure from the cardstock at the bottom. All right, and I want you to cut. Oh, this fan is driving me nuts. Okay, you ready? No.
It's a long list.
Okay, so we're going to work on this closure, this bit at the bottom. Okay. So you can use some of your cardstock that you've got left over, you know, some of the bits that you've already cut. And I want you to cut the first one . Tell me when you're ready. You are sorry. Okay, well I'll just speak it then. I want you to cut the first one at 8 by 1 3/4 of an inch. 8 by 1 3/4 of an inch. Okay. The second piece, oh, hang on. Diana, I can't believe that you're phoning me right now because you're in the air as well. So how can that be? I'll bring you back in a minute, lovely. Hold on. Oh, there we go. Sorry, Diana. That was magic. Right, okay, so we're going to cut the second piece at 1.5 by 3.5 inches. So you're cutting the second piece at 1.5 by 3.5 inches. Okay. Right, there's only a little bit of scoring to be done on this one. And this is on this little piece that we've just cut that was 1.5 by 3.5 inches. And we're going to score on the 3.5 inch side at 1/2 inch and at 3 inches. Okay. So that is basically going to fit over there, a little bit of gap. Okay. So I want you to fold on those score lines. And I want you to burnish. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to attach our closure, which is simply this piece of cardstock, which I've then folded round, and then it'll slip through that there like that. Okay, that's very, very simple. That's exactly how it works. All right. So what I've done here for my decoration on the front is I've actually taken one of the tags which you've got left over on that second half of the paper, as you recall, but I've just layered up lots of bits of the ephemera. I've put some onto some, grey board just so that it sticks up. You can use foam or whatever, and I've just cut various bits out. But what we're going to do with this is we're going to put our closure right in the middle like that. Okay, so if you put some glue about 2.5 inches like that, and then place it into the middle of your folio. You can use this line here to line it up, okay, like that. And then it's going to fold round like that in due course. We don't need to necessarily do that now. But what you do need to do is figure out where this piece is going. So if you put some glue onto either side of those flaps there, figure out where that's going to sit. I'm just going to slip that over there like that, and I'm just going to pop that down onto the back of my folio there like that. Make sure it's straight. And then we will need to obviously decorate the front and then the back of that. And then when we've finished, we can curl it round a little bit better. Okay. So that's as far as I want to go tonight. We'll, if you want to do any of your fancy decorating up, then, go ahead. But next week, what we'll do is we'll come back. Let me just put these back. So you can see how I've decorated them up. As I said, I have used white cardstock. These are the tops, like when you get like the top of a piece of pattern paper, these strips that you cut off. That's what I've used, these bits here. Okay. So that goes in there, that one in the bottom. And then I've just used bits of ephemera just to kind of add in, just to give a little bit of added interest to this bit. Like I said, I've just taken one of the tags and I've just used paper clip, which is in the kit, just to add that on there, and then just tuck some bits in because there's loads and loads of ephemera So just, you know, do what you like with it. These bits, when you come to, you know, decorate these up, these are just bits that I've cut out of the paper. So next week, what we're going to do is we're going to look at these two slip-in bits here. We're going to work on our woodfall and just do this other stack pocket. So I will see you next week. Mark will see you next week. Will I be flying next week?
Who knows?
I don't know. Who knows? Maybe. So we'll see you then. Have a great week. And we'll see you really soon. Bye.
Ooh.